Cardano stablecoin is under fire. This is around the blockchain. Thank you for joining, everybody. It's a wonderful show with some wonderful guests, so please go ahead and hit that like button. We're going to start with the in-studio guest, Joshua Jake. Joshua, how are you doing today? Is today your last day here?
I'm doing fantastic, and no, it's not. So I got a couple of days luckily left here, and we'll be coming back out in a couple of weeks. But I'm enjoying my time. It was a great morning show, and it was good having you as a host with me earlier today.
All right. If you win, we want to see the black lights cut on. Do you hear that, Hannah? Also on today, we have Meta Matt. He can't wait for the haptic skin suits. Meta Matt, how are you doing today?
Great, brother. Thanks for having me on, DZ. Glad to be here, man.
Always a good time. Also on today, we have TJ's favorite guest, and that's Paul Puey. Paul, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great here in not so sunny San Diego. So for all of you think that we only get like 70, 80 degrees in sun, well, it's real. Right? We have fog.
Hey, every now and then. Let's see. Yeah, about 1 p.m. Shocking time, too. And then also we have Drew Wolfer holding it down with the best lit background in all of crypto. Drew, how are you doing today?
It's all good, man. Sunny Florida. It's always sunny here, unless it's raining. So, yeah, we're good to go.
All right. E.R. Burke says, how about those junkies? How about them? We love the junkies here. But let's get right into Cardano. Speaking of Cardano, Cardano's ZHED stablecoin is under fire. I want to share this headline where Charles Hoskinson in his half cyborg phase here debunks rumors of the stablecoin ZHED takedown here. Well, let's look at ZHED stable. Not so stable price, I should say here. You can see this is the 7-day chart, 14-day chart. And this is unlike most stable coins. You don't see it just flat. This isn't zoomed in on the y-axis. We're seeing spikes as high as 107, going down as low as 97 cents. So just in the past 2 weeks, a 10-cent fluctuation. But Charles Hoskinson, he's coming out in defense of Cody, the team behind the ZHED stablecoin, DJED. His quote here, "No, we aren't dropping ZHED. We are supercharging the team." ZHED is a over-collateralized stablecoin. They have up to 4 times the amount of ADA backing. So if you have $1, you're going to have $4 worth of ADA backing it. Well, with ADA's price going down, we've gone from a 400% allocation to a 350% allocation. So only about a 3.5x. They have frozen all ZHED printing. You cannot make ZHED tokens right now. You can buy it on the secondary, but you can't make the token here. That's why we saw a little bit of a spike as people trying to get their semi-stable tokens here. I want to share, there's a big executive change too. This is going to be bad news for the Algorand fans. Let's share input outputs tweet here. IOG today announcing 2 new senior hires to form a new stablecoin venture. Sean Ford, you might recognize this guy, former CEO of Algorand. The Algorand CEO stepped down, and he's now Team Cardano. Now, Joshua Jake, I want to ask you, what are your thoughts on ADA DeFi? It seems like, Charles, they're finally taking it a little bit serious. They finally are saying, oh, yeah, stablecoins are kind of important. What do you think Cardano DeFi will look like in the next 18 months?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, I want to say, Paul, I know exactly. I love Miguel and Miguel's in Brigantine right across from there. I'm from San Diego myself, so looks nice down there either way. But for the stable coins coming from this market, I think there's a lot that we have to look at here. There's a lot we have to unpack. Stable coins have been the talk of the last 2 years as we've had many depeg, many completely collapse, and now coming out with this new stablecoin from the Cardano community. What does this mean for DeFi? So in the sense of having it backed 4 times by ADA, we're still dealing with a volatile asset. And, what's the stability around that look like? There is the bullish outcome, like you mentioned, that's, poor Algorand, where we have CEOs being taken or former CEOs being added to the team. But, with the stablecoin industry right now, is this something that can last? Should we be seeing a stablecoin go up to $1.07? Should it be that volatile? And from my perspective, with regulations and everything we've been working on and, seeing behind the scenes with the bills and everything passed through Congress for, the stablecoin outlook, what's the regulatory clarity going to look like that? Can we even have stablecoins in the future if the Treasury decides that, hey, if you're going to have a stablecoin issued in the United States, does that need to be backed by U.S. Treasuries? So there's a lot more that goes to this discussion. And right now I'm just focusing on it, seeing hopefully the stabilization in the near term.
All right. Well, Matt, I want to ask you kind of, related to metaverses here. Every single game economy I've ever participated in, whether it's Magic the Gathering, I got the gems, whether it's V-Bucks on Fortnite, they obfuscate, they remove the monetary system away from the dollar. I would say to confuse you. Oh, well, I don't know how many 1,600 V-Bucks is, but I know I want the new skin. Then next thing you know, you're like, I just paid $25 to look like Peter Parker. So we're seeing they hide the monetary values here. Well, I want to ask you, will we need stable coins for that to survive? Or can they operate where we just buy everything in Satoshis or buy everything in fractions of ETH?
I definitely think that it would be nice to see a stablecoin inside of a metaverse ecosystem or inside of a play to earn game system. They would have to figure out how that would work in their ecosystem with the token. But I definitely feel like it is, you can spend a lot more money than you realize sometimes, just because you're trying to convert it in your head to dollars, and the price of the token can change on you so quickly. So I would like to see stablecoins implemented into the metaverse and into play to earn gaming in the future. That would be a good move, I think, definitely.
All right. Well, Paul, I want to ask you about the fluctuations specifically. Let me pull up this ZED chart one more time. This is the 14-day. Maybe I'll go out to the 90-day. We can see some more fluctuations here. All right. It looks even a little bit worse here. Spike up to 110, dropping down almost to 95. Can the market handle fluctuations like this for a stable coin, or will the market reject this? Is a few cents or a nickel in each direction just too unstable for a stable coin?
I think right now it absolutely is, mainly because the biggest assets that people want to trade with stable coins are already pretty stable. If this was Bitcoin in 2013, it wouldn't have been a big deal. It's like, heck, 20% in a day was actually pretty common. However, people now, you see a 7% move in Bitcoin. That's pretty big, right? It's so weird to think that that's actually pretty big, because we used to say that, hey, we wouldn't wake up for less than 10x. But it's a bit too big of a volatility right now, considering what you may be trading it against or what you might be using as collateral to borrow. So at this point, yes, that's too unstable. And going back to what was said about what's collateralizing it with an unstable asset. Look at what some other protocols have done. They haven't been 3 to 4x. They've been usually around the 10x size. Synthetics was going 10x on collateralization for any of they're not necessarily stable coins, but they are synthetic assets. And if you think about it, Bitcoin has a volatility, at least a 4-year cycle volatility of upwards of 85 to 90% drops. So what makes you think a smaller coin only needs 3 to 4x over collateralization to stabilize this thing across a bull and bear market? You need way more than that. And I think people are sensing that. They're sensing that this needs more stabilization, more collateralization, and hence the volatility.
How do you feel about Cardano's price action, just, maybe in the 6 to 12 month term? Do you think maybe people should be worried Cardano could touch, say, 18 cents, 15 cents? Or in your opinion, are we going to be heading in a direction where maybe we'll reach 400% sooner than later?
Mainly, I think I look more at utility or developer experience to expand the ecosystem. And Cardano has proven to be more challenging than other platforms. Obviously, anything that's EVM based, pretty simple, but you're competing directly with Ethereum, or you're a layer 2 to Ethereum. One of the few that seem to have been able to at least get another leap above, but having a different platform than EVM, is Solana.
Yep.
Cardano has kind of taken this very bizarre part UTXO, part account-based model, which even to us in the prospect of trying to integrate it into not even a smart contract, but just simply a wallet that can send and receive, was proven to be a bit more challenging. So I think that's the hurdle. I don't try to tie that to price per se, but if you're someone that is trying to tie that to price, realize that the adoption on the developer side definitely has some headwinds in comparison to most other chains.
Yeah, anyone who's worked with Cardano know the bottleneck is certainly developers. Everyone just loves Solidity. They all want to go code in Solidity.
Yep.
Come on. Plutus waters are warm, folks. All right, well, Drew, I want to ask you kind of the algo Cardano situation here. On one end, looks like we have a big winner. On the other end, it looks like we might have a big loser, that being Algorand. I mean, what do you feel about that? Is this a bigger win for Cardano, or is this a bigger loss for Algorand?
I in my entire life, all I've done is run businesses, create businesses. And I was saying this to somebody the other day, but there should not ever be a single point of failure in a business. So there shouldn't necessarily be like one thing or one person, for that matter, that makes or breaks potentially a company. And so I would say I would lean more towards it's kind of 50-50, right? I think Cardano had a great pickup, right? And, Algorand obviously had a tremendous loss, but that is not to say that every single person in this life can be replaced in some way, shape, or form in the tasks that they are managing, right? So I wouldn't go as far to say that anybody really lost or won, but that there was just an exchange, a transfer of assets or wealth that, it maybe one party wasn't as jazzed about, right? Which would probably be Algorand. But I think that Algorand has a very, we'll call it, unique technology as well. And so does Cardano, obviously, right? That's why it's so hard to build things on Cardano. But I think Algorand has a great value add that they're bringing to the market either way, whether they have, Bill Gates as their CEO, the technology is still there. So that's where I kind of see it not being as big of a deal.
Yeah, I opened my Bill
But I will
Gates
say-
crypto wallet and a bunch of mosquitoes flew out and stung me.
Yeah.
Should I be worried, Drew?
100%.
All right.
100%.
Let's roll on, and we're actually going to skip to the third topic and then jump back to SBF. I want to go into Polygon right now because the new Pol token launched today. That is right. It used to be Matic. I remember back in the days it was Matic. Then we started calling it Polygon, but we're using the Matic ticker for Polygon. Well, now they've, I guess, simplified things as POL. This is part of their 2.0 roadmap. So you can see it here. They've announced this the 2.0 overhaul. They first announced this back in June. Today, it's a lot of techie stuff happening. I don't want to get too down into the weeds here. So it's going to introduce various scaling solutions. It's going to be a new staking layer, and they're going to merge the ZK capabilities with their proof of stake model right now, the ZK EVM capabilities here. But really, everyone's just talking about the name change. And so, more than the tech, people are just excited about a new ticker. Now, Josh, I haven't really talked, while you've been here, I haven't really gotten your 2 cents on layer twos. What are your thoughts on Matic in comparison to the landscape of an ever-growing layer 2 ecosystem? Are they going to thrive, or is there just a lot of competition and the work's cut out for them?
Yeah, great question. I mean, migrating the token from now Matic to Pol, we've seen this in the past, right? We saw them go from Polygon to Matic back in like 2020 or 2021. And they had a successful, migration back then. So even though there's a lot of FUD kind of circulating around the internet and Twitter, that's a bad thing for Polygon Matic, they've proven that they've done this in the past. And, now they're just transitioning to a little bit more of a pole dancing, it looks like. But interesting take on the token change. As for a layer 2, though, Polygon Matic continues to show that they're one of the top performers. And, while there is a lot more competition that's going to continuously be created in these markets, all of this is open software, right? It's all open source. And so you're going to have Web3 venture capitalists come in and just copy, paste code, maybe get a Meta employee, ex-Google employee, et cetera, and then scale something in one way or another to mark it back up and push on through an ICO. But with Matic, they show it with the partnerships. They show that they're, just continuously generating and developing. And as long as Ethereum is going to be around, which I don't see Ethereum going around for the next 5 years, they're going to continuously need layer 2s like Polygon Matic to scale it. So, I'm bullish on Polygon Matic. It's one of my largest holdings. So take that as you will, because that is going to be in a biased approach. But ultimately, it's, they continue to scale. They continue to have new innovative partnerships each and every single week. So I'm looking forward to them.
All right. Yeah, there's one thing they do have, partnerships. They're up there with Chainlink. I always say Polygon has the best biz dev team in crypto. All right, Meta, I want to ask you about Polygon in relation to gaming, but I also want to ask you about the name change. When we get retail, I think a lot of retail will come from gaming. Will the name change confuse retail? They're not in the weeds. They didn't see Matic. They didn't see Polygon, 2-3 years ago. They're not familiar. Pol token, was this for politics? I don't know what's happening. So will that be confusing to retail the next 18 months? And also, what are your thoughts about Polygon's impact on gaming itself?
Well, first of all, Polygon's one of my biggest picks going into this bull run, even though we saw major gains last time around. I started buying Polygon at about 1.5 cents back when it was just Matic. Extremely bullish on this coin. So I don't really know that I like the name change. I something about Matic. I love that name, but it does make sense since it's called Polygon to now change the ticker. So I don't think it's going to be very confusing. But I think that they have, definitely right in the NFT space, Polygon is going to be massive. Like you were just saying, the amount of partnerships that they've built over the last few years is pretty much over and above anybody else right now. So definitely bullish on them. And I think that they could definitely expand into the metaverse gaming space, play to earn gaming. It would just make sense, right, with the NFTs. So yeah, I definitely think that we could see Polygon in gaming.
All right, and we got some chat. They're going crazy. A lot of people love some Polygon. Paul, pronounced Paul. All right, Paul. But, we're going to go to Paul. Don't you worry there. Bought some ADA and Matic this morning. Jess Jim bought ADA today. There's opportunities in farming on MinSwap and Muesli Swap. Thanks for reminding me. I just claimed a bunch of staking rewards in one wallet, but I'm staking MinSwap in a different wallet, and I got to remember to swap that out. But Paul, speaking of Paul, I want to ask you here. Maybe I can get an outside the box answer because, I think there's obvious answers like L2s, but my question is, who is Polygon's biggest competitor?
Oh, geez. Really, it's the ones that are true L2s.
So it is L2s. It's not a L1. It's not a Solana. It's not any kind of Sui or Aptos.
No, not really. If you think about it, EVMs have really kind of taken the hold. If you're not EVM, you've got, like I said, huge headwinds, with Solana being one of the few that have been able to get any decent amount of development on a chain that's not EVM. But if you think about it, a lot of people have ETH. They're already talking about putting together an ETH ETF. Boy, that's a little bit of a tongue twister. So ETH ETF. And the one thing about Polygon that I've always questioned is, why is it even called an L2? It's not really scaling ETH because you don't use ETH on the chain itself. And if anything, it is in a way building up its own ecosystem, its own token. You pay for fees. You never touch ETH. Sure, there's a settlement onto the Ethereum blockchain, and there may be some fees paid to settle the transactions on the Ethereum blockchain. But by and large, you're not thinking Ethereum at all when you're transacting on Polygon, now Pol, or using Matic. And so really, it's an ecosystem all entirely of itself, much like Solana, but it's an EVM. This could be Phantom for all people care. Now, granted, I still love the project because it has made Ether smart contracts actually usable. It's reduced the fees. It's scaled to it's scaled EVM in general, but it's not what I would call a layer 2. The true layer 2s, the Optimisms of the world, the ZK Syncs that are using ETH as the asset that you pay fees in. It's the primary asset that you might collateralize. Those are what I call the true layer 2s, and those are the primary competitors. I do want to chime in on the name change. I know you'd ask everyone else in the name change.
Yeah, go ahead.
I want to give an example of why I think the name change is good. It's just sad that we even needed it. Let's take Cosmos. This thing goes by 4 freaking names. Cosmos, Gaia, Tendermint is the consensus layer, and then there's Atom, which is the token. This is one of the most confusing ecosystems from a naming point of view. I'm not trying to say anything about the quality of the ecosystem, but just a pure raw naming point of view. And Matic and Polygon kind of went about halfway as bad. And so consolidating that into a single name from the viewpoint of just clarity and understanding what is it that you're getting, I'm all about it. So I think they've gone in the right direction. I almost wish they started in that direction to begin with. Whether they called Matic the network and Matic the token, or just said Polygon the network and Pol the token, that would have simplified everything. So happy that they went in that direction, and don't go down the path that Cosmos did, at least with naming.
Yeah, somewhere the multiverse team is it's like the Bradley Cooper meme. We effed up. All right, Drew, I want to talk to you. I want to talk to you about price. I found this kind of surprising. I tried to go to CoinGecko and type in POL. It isn't pulling up. If I could just share my screen here, we're coming in at 63 cents. Here you can see the poll page. So 63.2 cents. Click on the 64.8. So it looked like a slight premium. But if we go to the all-time price action, you can see where he was buying at that penny and a half level right there. 1.48, 1.5, just right there. Shot all the way up to $3. A lot of people got in at a penny. It was around a 300x, 150x if you got in at a penny and a half. Now we see a little bit of spike on the recent. What do you feel about Polygon? Is there still opportunity? A lot of people are saying, if you're going to get an L2, I highly recommend Matic. I think there's going to be huge gains. I don't think we'll get a 300x, but kind of what are you expecting for the next bull run here?
Well, for the next bull run, and I'll tell you 100%, I'm bullish. I agree with Josh. I agree with Matt. I agree with everyone. I'm bullish on Polygon Matic, and I'll take it even a step further. Because we literally pay our dividends out in Polygon Matic from Wolfer Finance and from Prescient. So that's exactly what we're going to be doing. So I've always been long-term bullish on Polygon. I've always said Polygon is my thing. Now, with that said, I don't necessarily look at things in terms of token price a lot of times, because I come from the traditional finance sector. Before I ever, knew anything about blockchain, there was the traditional finance sector. So I look at things in terms of market cap. And whenever you were showing that chart just now, it's got about a $6 billion market cap. So it's not outlandish to assume that you could get like a 300x with Polygon, because I mean, when we're talking about projects that are billions of dollars, right? And you've got companies out here that are Microsoft, $2.5 trillion companies. I believe Amazon's like 1.37 trillion right now, and Apple is almost 3 trillion. I think it's 3 trillion.
Close to 3.
So these are companies that have like massive market capitalizations, right? So is it hard to infer that a company of, say, Ethereum, or a company of Polygon's size couldn't become a tech giant like them? I don't think it's outlandish at all. So I'm actually eyeing that all-time high almost guaranteed for Polygon. That's just my bias, because I might be biased, right? Let's be real. But secondarily, I wouldn't see the reason why I say that if we hit that all-time high, we could potentially blast through it and get even further than that, is because historically speaking, in every bull run, the alts have run harder than Bitcoin does. So if Bitcoin 3x, because it takes a lot more to 3x Bitcoin, right? The market cap is way higher than Polygon Matic. It's probably like 10 times the size of Polygon, or 100 times the size of Polygon Matic, right? So it doesn't take as much money to push it up there. So that's why I'm saying, in this, bull market that could be coming, 100x puts it at a $600 billion market cap. I mean, that's like a quarter of the size of Microsoft. I'm not saying that Polygon's going to get 100x by any means, but to come out here and say, hey, Polygon could 10 to 20x pretty quickly, I don't think that's outlandish at all. And I'll stick to my story.
All right. People are getting excited about that. Yeah, 300 is the craziest moonshot scenario. But yeah, $3, I expect a little bit of resistance at 5. If we blast through that, I think it can come really close to $10. After that,
just give it a couple of years for your 300. Give it a few years. Give it it's not going to happen tomorrow. Right.
All right. Well, let's go back in time and go to the middle subject here. We're talking about SBF. Let me share this, folks, because we have something huge about to happen. He could testify as soon as tomorrow. Okay. The only thing holding back, there's one more witness that's going to be questioned in the morning. So I think it's the prosecution has one more witness. After that, it's SBF's time to shine. There's a lot of speculation. Is this guy going to testify? Is he not going to testify? Famously, when you are on trial, typically you do not testify. Look at, O.J. Simpson. I'm sorry, O.J. Simpson's just the real popular scenario or thing that people think about here. But he's pled not guilty to 7 counts. We got fraud, we got conspiracy, we got money laundering on there. And everyone's waiting with bated breath to see what kind of witness will SBF be. Now, Joshua, I want to ask you, what do you think this is going to, let's just ask that. What kind of witness will he be, Josh? What kind of witness is Sam going to be?
I think he's going to be the same grifter he's always been. I'm not a fan of SBF in any single way, shape, or form. This is a common Wall Street criminal that, has just came into the Wall Street 2.0 world, which is Web3 or crypto, and he's lobbied and donated and gotten in with a lot of our regulators. And what he did with our investors' capital, it hurt hundreds and thousands, if not, hundreds of thousands of different individuals investing. This is someone that's partnering with the likes of Tom Brady, some of the largest sports players in the world. And they're advocating to their community that, hey, this is a safe exchange. You're going to be safe with us. You should store your crypto here. And at the same time, the dweeb is artificially printing tokens that have no underlying value or asset below them, and it's just going to collapse inevitably. So can the FTX come back for this? Of course, that's kind of without said. I think they're going to relaunch the exchange. Someone might come in and buy them out. But SBF himself, I mean, you saw how he lived in the Bahamas. You've seen how he treated his current colleagues and everybody around him. And more importantly, again, I just think he's the ultimate grifter of this industry and deserves no time or error or any justification to what he did. He is a fraudster.
All right, let's can we share these pictures, Owen? Or are you gonna? All right, here we have the famous photo of him, but we also have our favorite sketches here. You can see him there in the bottom left. I think that's Andrew Wang testifying here. He looks a little swarthy. He has like kind of a cool pirate vibe going on there, and then here doing his best impression of just a hardened convict at the moment there. All right, Matt, I want to ask you, let's gamify this question. Let's make him, it's going to be a winner or a loser here. I mean, what is this going to do for the prosecution here? Is this going to be advantageous for a guilty verdict or advantageous for, hey, no, this guy's walking scot-free?
Right. Yeah. So I think first off and foremost, I think that it's a very stupid decision for him to get up there and testify. Having said that, I'm extremely excited to get to see this, and I'm glad this is happening because SBF is pure scum in my opinion, and he has done more to hurt the space. Just he put him and Do Kwon. I mean, all the stuff that's happened over the last couple of years has just been insane for the space. So I think he's going to dig his own grave. I don't know if you guys remember that. I don't know what interview it was, but he was sitting there talking. They were asking him questions. And when they asked about all the money that was lost, that evil grin that he gave, that just gave you a glimpse into the window of that guy's soul. And it is pure black in there, I think. So from a gaming standpoint, it was definitely, I would not pick him as a character if I had to, if I was gaming, because he is going down. And I hope they ask him some really good questions here. That's hilarious. I hope that I hope they have some really good questions lined up. I'd like to know about a lot of his connections, a lot of the lobbying that happened from a conspiracy standpoint, because I definitely delve into that. The reason I got into crypto in the first place was after you learn what fiat is and you start, thinking maybe I should protect myself. So you get into gold, you get into silver, and crypto is just an obvious step after that. So I would definitely like to see if we could get to the bottom of some of this. We probably never will, but there is so much more to this story that I hope we get to see. So I'm looking forward to it.
Get to the bottom, a phrase you might be hearing a lot lately. Paul, I want to ask you about the cross-examination that's about to happen here, because, at first he's going to have his attorney lobbing him softballs. Hey, I'm teeing you up. Go ahead, knock it out of the park, Sam. But then it's going to be cross-examination time. Then the prosecutor, they're really going to come after him, I'm imagining here, if any indication for what we've seen from the earlier witnesses. So I want to ask you, on one hand, he was able to charm JP Morgan bankers. We're talking about people with billions of dollars under assets under management. He was charming them while playing League of Legends. But then on the other hand, he fidgets like he's a consumer of late 80s crank from a truck stop. So I want to ask you, what do you think this is going to end up as? Is he going to end up as a charming witness, or is it going to be pretty obvious that, hey, maybe this guy isn't trustworthy?
I think we've already gone past seeing the charm as something positive. People see right through the charm at this point in time and want to know what's actually going on inside of his head. And the one thing, similar to what Matt said, that I want to see out of this trial, I so badly wish that they would air this. And I'd love that one law to be changed, that we couldn't air this actual trial. But I inherently try to find the good in people. And I don't think SBF was born with this type of intent to fraud and steal money from people. So what changed him? What type of temptation, surrounding environment, whether it be his parents, the people he was surrounded by, that caused him to go down this path? That's really what I hope the prosecution finds out, because similar to what Matt said, I have a feeling there's a lot to do with both government, parents, maybe the school system that he was in and the people he was surrounded by, that had something to do with utilizing him. He might even just be a pawn in a grander picture, right? And it's not necessarily him and his own evil thoughts that created this entire unfortunate, very short-lived, powerful and corrupting empire. That's the nugget that I really want to get out of this, is what brought someone to the point where he was at before this all came collapsing, and understanding, number one, how does humanity even get there? How do you become so evil, knowing that you're stealing people's money and using it for your own lavish good? So that we can hope to prevent that going forward, because this could easily happen again. We know that we're easily manipulated. How do we stop people from getting to that point in the first place?
Yeah, I think there's an element of the effective altruism. It's not the people that do activities to enrich themselves that you have to worry about. It's the people that do activities to enrich others because they think that they can't think for themselves. And so these are the people in history that we've honestly had to look back. It's like, well, you don't know better. I know better than you do. So listen to me. And now you can't eat beef. Eat the bugs and be happy. So if I had a theory, it would be effective altruism, and he knows better than you. So he's going to spend his money. He's going to spend your money because, hey, these people really need mosquito
He's helping
nets.
you.
Yeah.
That's actually the ideology around the United States, right? We are one of the laziest. We're one of the laziest countries in the world because we want to delegate out our decision-making to other people. We've got better things to do. And suddenly those people that we've delegated our decision-making to take huge advantage of that. And exactly that, SBF is along the lines of that path, right, that you just mentioned.
Was the phrase spread democracy all a lie? Anyways, all right, let's move on here. Drew, I want to ask you, last question here. What do you think is, we just talked about the prosecution. He's going to get cross-examined here. Great wig. I actually have ordered my SBF wig already. What is going through the prosecutor's mind right now? Are they happy? Are they gleeful? Oh my God, I get to cross-examine this guy. Or do you think that they're worried because, he's clearly a smart individual?
Yeah. So I've got my SBF hair on. So that's why I always whip this out. Yeah, I always whip this out whenever we talk about SBF. I hate platforming this dude because honestly, I think he's a leech on the system, and he took advantage of a lot of good people and their hard work and their hard-earned money, and I just don't like platforming him. But if I'm the prosecutor, being the person that I know that I am, I would rip this dude to shreds. I would absolutely demolish this guy in a courtroom because this is now you're in their world, right? So SBF, he's no longer in front of a computer playing League of Legends, trying to convince people that he's smarter than everybody, right? And that's why I don't think he's charming. I'm just going to go out and say that. Like, I think we should use a different adjective for him because like Channing Tatum, charming, right? That's a charming person, right? But when you listen to SBF talk, there's nothing charming about him, right? It's the fact that he can go out and convince people. He's convincing that he is smarter. And when you take a look at him, you can easily infer, or at the very least assume, that he might be smarter than you at doing this, right? At doing technical things, because he looks like that type of person. And if he can talk in the vernacular that supports that, I think it's very easy for him to manipulate people in those situations in order to get them to think that he is that capable individual, right? So I don't necessarily think he's charming. I think he's just a very convincing person. But with that said, when he's in that courtroom, he isn't going to be charming. He isn't going to be parading around grandstanding people like he kind of was during the CoffeeZilla interview that he had on Twitter Spaces and stuff like that. He's not going to be grandstanding people talking about how smart he is and how his intentions were good and stuff like that. The damage is done, man. And now they're going to come with all of the evidence against him. And it's going to be extremely hard for him to kind of write all of that off, especially in front of a jury. And I think that he's going to hang himself just by going up on that stand, because people are going to see his true nature, and they're not going to be going up there with the intent to be like, oh, can this guy code a software platform? They're going to be like, did this dude just steal billions of dollars from people? And did he do it with the illest of intentions? And it's going to be hard for him to not prove that. So I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait to see the SBF house burn down, because he burned a lot of people's houses down along the way for himself. He's flying celebrities and people out for hundreds of thousands of dollars on private jets, and he's just wasting money for no reason. He put a stain on this proverbial cloth of the cryptocurrency and blockchain markets that will forever be there. And so did Luna. But we have to move past it and understand that he's got political connections, and that's why he was able to do that. Not everybody has that. So, I hope he gets smacked.
And I want to double down on Paul's point. It's such a shame that we can't have this portion televised. We're going to just have to settle with Jonah Hill reenacting it 2 years from now. But I'm looking forward to that, too. I'm also looking forward to that. I think Jonah Hill's going to kill it. Can we all agree Jonah Hill's going to play him? It's just going to happen, folks. At least one of the 3 movies that they make. But that is all we have time for. And Paul took it home. Some say there might have been an asterisk. He was given a follow-up question, but, someone else was as well. But Paul, you ended up taking it home. I almost got you to crack today. I think I can do it the next episode. We'll count that as a halfway there. But all right, Paul, feel free. Let's leave us with some parting thoughts. Just share about 10, 20 seconds. Whatever message.
10, 20 seconds. Well, 5 seconds. The ramp is coming. The bull market is coming. Be prepared for it. Don't get stuck with too many dollars. And then, of course, download Edge and give it a try. Hold your crypto. Hold your keys.
All right. Download Edge. A lot of new features coming on the way. Make sure you can check that out. Check out Paul. Everybody's links are going to be in the description below. So make sure you check out Paul's product. Make sure you follow Joshua, Jake, Meta Matt, Drew, Wolfer, of course. Holy smokes, this guy has special effects going on here. And, of course, big shout out to Linqto. is one of the friends of the channel here. If you want to invest potentially in the Ripple IPO, this might be the way to go. So if they open up that second round. But that's all we have time for today. See you folks in the morning tomorrow. All right.